Welcome, everybody. Thank you for coming. You're going to have to let me know if you hear crackling in my microphone. If you hear crackling, I'm not going to be able to stream tonight because I have to fix it. I think it has something to do with maybe my XLR. I've heard some complaints. So please let me know if you hear crackling coming through my microphone, okay? It's important. Discord has done this once before, but I just want to make sure that this is not an issue. People are saying there's no crackling. All right. It must have been just Discord. There's this dude named Ben Palmer. Hang on. Let me just pull this up. Hang on 1 second. I have the videos from Ben Palmer. Let me find them. Where did they go? I know I covered them not that long ago. Where the hell are they? No. I don't understand why I can't find these. Here. I found it. I'm sorry, hang on. I have to restart briefcase. I don't know why it's giving me trouble right now. All right. Kindergarten. Here. Okay. You guys may have seen this. Ben Palmer guy, he set up an ICE hotline to troll people. Well, DHS just put out a bolo for Ben Palmer for putting up this fake ICE hotline. Listen.
I have my own hotline for reporting illegal immigrants, and people call it thinking that it's legitimate. I talked to a kindergarten teacher that wants to deport the parents of a kindergartner at her school. And it looks like they have a child who was born in New York, which makes them an American citizen.
Yeah.
So we're looking to deport the parents and leave the child.
Right. Like I said, I don't know if they're here illegally. I just think it's odd, you know? It's just very odd.
What did you say was odd?
It's just odd for them to even be here. Like, I'm a teacher at a school.
What, odd for human beings to be in a school? Are you kidding me?
Okay, I know schools. I know the whole law about schools. I mean, they seem like nice people or whatever, but I looked them up in our files, and I was like, oh, she was born in Honduras, and he's born in El Salvador. So right there, it's like, okay, maybe I'm on the right path. You know, they drop off their kid every day.
So their kid is their kid a student at your school?
Yes. Yes.
Well, wow, they dropped the kid off? Are you kidding me? The gall of somebody to drop their kid off at school.
One of your
kindergarten.
Okay, so now you want to get his parents deported?
Well, I'm just saying that if they're taking up resources from our county.
They're not. Okay, immigrants put in more resources than they take by a wide margin. And having more people in an economy boosts that economy. They are a benefit. Immigrants are a benefit to the economy. What are you smoking? How evil is this shit? He set up a fake ICE hotline, and people have actually been calling it and leaving tips about their fucking kindergarten students. We are in a broken state in this country, dude. The state of some people's minds that they would go to this. And now they've put out a bolo for Ben Palmer, for the guy who did this. How fucking vile. This is very obviously parody, satire, protected by the First Amendment, you know? We'll get to the legal stuff in just a minute. Just keep listening here.
Okay.
I'm not into illegal people being here.
I mean, if the son's in kindergarten, what, he's 6 or 7, right?
Yeah, he's probably like 5 or 6.
And he was born in New York, so that means, assumingly they've been in America for 6 or 7 years.
Yeah.
And now we're going to go ahead and just remove them.
Are you like questioning that, or what do you know?
Yeah. Sorry, no, I'm just writing this down for my own personal notes, and my supervisor teaches at school wants kindergarten child's parents
You
deported.
make it sound terrible.
No, he's literally just describing exactly what is happening right now. You're being forced to look at a mirror is the problem.
Make it sound like it's terrible, but
Oh, well, I'm just writing down what you're
Yeah.
telling me.
okay. Well, yeah, okay.
Sounds terrible. Let's see, I can write that down too, I guess.
Okay.
And that's Hispanic in an area where you wouldn't normally see Hispanics. Okay.
Right. Like,
Right, she said to that. What? This is insane. What is wrong with these people?
people that are born in another country,
Yeah. Because you normally see those people where?
like in the cities.
Got it. Okay. Hispanics out of place, now in country, not where they belong in city. So
anyway, the point is that he is now facing legal issues as a result of this free speech that he exercised. This is an article on The Guardian. U.S. Homeland Security put out alert on comedian who created parody ICE tip website. The Department of Homeland... God. For some reason, I can't say that. The Department of Homeland Security, DHS, has circulated a Be on the Lookout alert to law enforcement nationwide, targeting a comedian whose satire of U.S. immigration enforcement went viral. The subject of the alert, known as a bolo, is Ben Palmer, a Nashville-based stand-up comedian and prankster who created a parody anti-immigration tip website. His revealing videos of calls with members of the public who thought they were reporting immigrants to U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement have garnered millions of views on TikTok and YouTube. The DHS bulletin was issued by the department's Nashville field office in February, about a week before the Washington Post profiled Palmer after a kindergarten teacher reported one of her students' parents to Palmer's supposed tip page on spurious grounds, thinking she was communicating with the government. The bolo was then shared by the Illinois State Police to a distribution list of state and local enforcement agencies. The alert on Palmer was obtained by the Chicago-based journalism nonprofit Injustice Watch through a series of public records requests. It was not immediately clear how many other law enforcement departments around the U.S. may also have shared the federal alert, as Injustice Watch was investigating matters in Illinois. The alert was headlined, Online Immigration Impersonation, and noted that Palmer, who is a U.S. citizen, operates a satirical website impersonating a submission form, which acts as a mechanism for reporting suspected illegal aliens. You know, I wonder, do you guys think DHS and other like local law enforcement and stuff are cracking down hard on those shitheads that wear ICE immigration enforcement jackets around to scare the shit out of people who aren't white? Do you think they crack down on that at all? Or do you think it's just this? While Palmer's site does use language such as official report form and says reports are submitted through official federal channels, the comedian doesn't claim to work for ICE, and the privacy policy contains a disclaimer that says that the site is for parody. Near the bottom of the bolo alert, the DHS acknowledged the comedian did not pose a danger. At this time, there appears to be no direct threat to life or infrastructure, the alert reads. In an email responding to questions, a DHS spokesperson says, there is no investigation into this individual. This document is an internal memo shared for awareness purposes only, adding that law enforcement and civilians should be aware of potential websites and individuals impersonating federal law enforcement. Palmer said he didn't know about the bolo until an Injustice Watch reporter told him about it. He called it a badge of honor to be singled out by the government for his comedy, though he also expressed concern that such monitoring could escalate into something more serious, such as being arrested. Yeah, that's the point. That's why they do these things. The chilling effect is what it's called. So I just looked into this out of curiosity. He's almost certainly not going to face arrest for this. They could charge him under subsection 912, I understand. Pretrial detention for that kind of offense is extraordinarily unlikely. Federal pretrial detention is governed by the Bail Reform Act, and the default is release. The realistic worst case for him is not jail. But this is the chilling effect at work. That's what this is all about. That's why they're doing this. And that is exactly what I've come to expect from our government, honestly. What is fucking wrong with these people? Is parody, like, not allowed anymore? Unless it's Magapotamians or Magadonians, if you will, making fun of the left. Only then is parody allowed? Anyway, tell me what you think about it in the comments. Just vile, dude. The whole thing. Just what is wrong with our country right now? 12 minutes. Okay, now let's cover Tina Peters. Let me actually, there was something I meant to pull up, I'm sorry, that I forgot about. Where is it? Where is it? All right, I'll pull this one up, and then let me see if I can go to the twit and find something, but can't search live because adult entertainment pretty much always pops up every single time I search, no matter what I'm searching for. Let's see, Tina Peters. It's not even the good adult entertainment. It's like weird stuff. Let's see. Governor. Media. Is this it?
Secretary of State Jenna Griswold.
Big lie.
No.
And overall,
No, this isn't the video. Hold on. What's it? Jared Paulus? Jared Paulus? I'm just looking for this video from him. Is this
Secretary
it?
of State Jenna Griswold.
Hold on.
Secretary of State Jenna Griswold. Secretary, you heard what the governor said there, explaining his decision, why he thinks this was the right call. What's your response to what you just heard from him?
I was really hoping to find the original.
Secretary of State Jenna Griswold.
No? It's the exact same fucking video?
Because she did that,
Why is it so quiet?
in jail for 9 years.
It's like super quiet. All right, hold on. I'm just going to grab a couple of these videos while I'm looking for this. I'm sorry. I usually am prepared for this, but I just want to...
The only nonviolent offender sentences, and I agree with the appeals court that in this...
This is the video I was looking for. So I'm going to grab this one. All legal, like, yeah, legal. And I'm going to grab...
Secretary of State Jenna Griswold. Secretary, you heard what...
Oh, those eyes, though. And I'm going to grab that one. Okay, good. Grabbing. Videos are currently being grabbed as we speak. Okay. Open. 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 Okay, good. And then, all right. You guys remember Tina Peters? She helped Trump rig the election in 2020, or she tried to rig it on his behalf. She ended up getting a list of voters out of... Well, she was the county clerk, which means she was in charge of elections. And she gave somebody her badge, and they used that to get a list of voters, just a plain list of voters. And that list somehow made its way to Mike Lindell, conveniently. And Mike Lindell released that list of voters as a list of dead voters. He said, we got a list of dead voters who voted in 2020. So BBC goes around and knocks on their door, and they say... did you vote? They said yes. And they said, are you dead? They said no. So anyway, she was sentenced to 10 years in prison recently and was released. She's being released by Donald Trump. Well, by a pressure campaign waged by Donald Trump. Listen to this.
Our wonderful Tina to come out of...
Why is it so quiet? What the hell is happening right now? Hold on.
Secretary of State, Jenna Gross.
The only
Secretary of State.
That's not right. I'm sorry. Just a second. Yeah, let me just fix the volume on this real fast. Just take me 1 second to rename. Trump talks about Tina Peters before her release. Did it finish? Yes, it did. Okay, let me try again.
the only nonviolent.
Nope.
Secretary of State.
Nope.
Our wonderful
There it is.
Tina to come out of a jail, in a high-intensity jail, because she caught people cheating on an election, and they said she was cheating. She wasn't cheating. She went over, she looked at one of the election scams going on, and because she did that, they put her in jail for 9 years.
Nope, it's because she stole a bunch of private voter data and gave it to fucking psycho Mike Lindell.
The governor of Colorado is a weak and pathetic man who was run by Tren de Aragua, the criminals from Venezuela, took over sections of Colorado, and he was afraid to do anything. But he puts Tina in jail for 9 years because she caught people cheating.
He didn't do jack shit. Okay, the court system did that, first of all. And second, she was caught cheating. She stole the data.
And when she walked over and got involved in it, they said she was cheating. She wasn't cheating. She caught people cheating on the election, 2020.
No, she didn't. She didn't even claim that.
Along with a lot of other people that cheated on that election. You'll
Literally nobody claimed that.
see that coming out more and more. But there's no doubt that America's adversaries are trafficking fentanyl into the United States, in part because they want to kill America.
Okay, I'm so fucking lost now. I have no clue what's going on or why you're even talking about that. Anyway, so this is the guy. I believe he's a Democrat who granted her clemency.
The only nonviolent offender that is on the commutation list. She was sentenced to almost 9 years in prison.
And deserved it.
And to be clear, she deserved to go to jail. She committed a crime. What's at issue here is how long the sentence is. And I agree with the
That is not at issue. She deserved 9 years in prison.
appeals court that in the sentencing hearing, the judge incorrectly looked at and considered her bizarre viewpoints, her speech, and held her speech against her. She happened.
Are you fucking kidding me? You think that is the thing that got her, like, put in prison or whatever? Her speech? No. I watched the entire sentencing on, I think it was on this channel, like, forever ago when it happened. And we'll go back through it again in a second, but this is just a flat-out, bald-faced fucking lie, and it's vile that he would say such a thing.
Happens to be somebody that's espoused what I believe to be what anybody objectively would believe to be incorrect opinions, conspiracies, etc. That is not a crime in our country. What is a crime is, along with two other co-conspirators, one got 6 months, one got parole only.
Because they turned on her, yes. Not just because that it wasn't that bad. It was that bad. It was that bad. She abused her position over and over again and deserved to sit in there for the rest of her fucking life for what she did, actually. They got out of it with less time because they turned on her. And the fact that he's excluding that little detail tells me everything I need to know about this dude. I hope he gets voted out.
Accessed after a municipal election, election computers to download software for an independent audit prior to the software being updated. That is the crime. There were 4 felonies. Those felonies will stick with her. She's a convicted felon. And I believe that the 4.5 years that I'm commuting her sentence to.
Wow, she's a convicted felon, huh? Sounds like she's qualified to run for president.
A convicted felon. And I believe that the 4.5 years that I'm commuting her sentence to, she'll be on parole along with a number of the other 9 next month, is a fair, just, and tough sentence for her crime.
No. Serving her fucking sentence that she was sentenced to would have been fair and just, actually. You know the biggest problem with this? First of all, I believe in rehabilitation all the way. I think we should approach all of these situations from a perspective of, are they a danger to society? If not, how can we rehabilitate them and get them to the point where they can rejoin society? That's how I view things. Unfortunately, she doesn't view the situation that way herself. As we'll see in a couple of minutes, she didn't get it all the way up to sentencing. It was over. And in her sentencing hearing, she was still telling the judge how the election was stolen and all of this other insane shit. No remorse. You know, on top of all of that, pending the criminal case or whatever, she was instructed to stay away from the county clerk's office because she's no longer county clerk. She no longer has any right to any of that shit. And instead of staying away from the county clerk's office, she showed up there with cameras and started shit. Like some fucking asshole behind her holding a phone with a camera and filming her starting shit with everybody there. Even after all of that shit played out, she was starting shit with people intentionally because she wanted to. Okay, so that's what Jared Polis said about it. She served her sentence. No, she didn't. Literally, actually, she didn't serve her sentence because you just ended the sentence prematurely. And by the way, if you're still not sure exactly who we're referring to, it was this woman. This is the arrest video, the famous arrest video.
Let go of me! Let go of me!
Yeah, see, I learned this when I was young. This is a surefire way to get released from police custody. Scream at them and kick at them. Works every single time. Gets you out of everything.
Let go of me! Oh, no.
Oh, yes.
Let go of me! It hurts! Let go of me!
Ooh, she's kicking now.
Give me my key! Oh, you understand? Stop it! Sorry. No, let go of me! Yes, you are, Caleb. Give me my key to my car! Give me my key to my car! Give me my key to my car! Give it to me! Give me my key! Step outside. Take my purse!
No, she's giving in. See, this was a great moment right here. That was just fantastic. There were so many cases of accountability being doled out at that time. I loved it to death. And you know what? She served 4 years, so I'll take it. I mean, it's better than nothing, right? At least she served something. At least we got this arrest video. But anyway, that was Tina Peters being arrested. This is part of her sentencing. I don't want to go through the whole thing because it's pretty long. But I just want to listen to a little bit of it here.
You are no hero. You abused your position, and you're a charlatan.
This is commonly what happens in sentencing hearings. Judges will lay down exactly why this is happening to them. They will commonly shred them. And Christian nationalist scumbags often get out of it as a result of what the judge says to shred them. Like Jim Baker was sentenced to 15 years, I think, and appealed on the basis of Christian persecution because the judge in his sentencing basically said, you make Christianity look bad, because he scammed a bunch of people out of like millions of dollars. And he appealed that all the way up, and they decided, yeah, he was persecuted for Christian reasons.
Used and is still using your prior position in office to peddle a snake oil that's been proven to be junk time and time again. Your lies are well documented, and these convictions are serious. I'm convinced you would do it all over again if you could.
Yeah, I mean, it's clear. She said she would.
You're as defiant as a defendant as this court has ever seen. All right, we're here today for sentencing in Miss Peters' case. before I get into my comments, I'll enter judgment of conviction consistent with the jury's verdicts as to counts 1, 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, and 10.
Just a quick editing note. I'm going to cut the boring stuff because this is a 22-minute video, and I don't remember when his comments actually start, so just jump right in to whenever his comments start. Maybe right here?
It can be and very likely will be reduced by on that today.
Hold on, what was
earned
that?
Time credits within the department is not the amount of time you are likely to serve.
Wait, let me step back. Listen one more time here.
Sentence, conditions 6 and 7 are vacated. However, you can ask your lawyer what that means. If you are ever sentenced or today sentenced to the Department of Corrections, then I'm required to inform you that the time I actually impose or that may be imposed is,
which is like 9 years,
is not the amount of time you are likely to serve. It can be and very likely will be reduced by your accrual of good time and earned time credits within the department, meaning that the better you do in prison, the more programming you take advantage of, the sooner you'll be released. I want to circle back to the request from earlier today in terms of the motion for a new trial based on a Brady violation. To the extent I needed to make findings on that today, I'll note that, one, the motion could have been filed weeks ago.
All right, let me just jump. Let me see if I can find the transcript, the chapters. Delivers sentencing verdict. Here, I think this is where it starts. All right.
Of any appeal issue that might come up in the future. The purposes of sentencing have been alluded to, particularly by the prosecution. I'm not going to repeat them all, but I say generally the same thing. That is, the purposes are statutory, and they include, but are
I'm sorry, let me fix the audio here.
Not limited to promoting the acceptance of responsibility. That doesn't mean that a defendant has to take responsibility.
Damn it. I'm sorry. It's clipping.
Acceptance of responsibility. That doesn't mean that a defendant has to take responsibility. To the contrary, Ms. Peters has exercised her right to a jury trial. She's exercised her right to hold the people to their burden, and such cannot and will not be used by this court as a means by which, or justification by which, to punish her, but rather the sentence itself is to promote the responsibility acceptance, not to ensure that someone takes responsibility, however, once they've chosen to exercise their right to go to trial. I consider deterrence in sentencing, that is, both general and specific, that the sentence I impose must deter Ms. Peters from engaging in similar conduct in the future, but it also must deter others generally from engaging in this type of conduct.
Absolutely, which is why this is such a problem, why that's so bad that she is effectively getting out of it. You know, even if she's not getting out of it, they can see that Donald Trump holds sway, and these people will be willing to do. I mean, these people as in Trump nutcases, you know, Jacob Chansley, and what's that one dude's name? I suddenly forget. The dude who kicked over the big block of ice. Jacob Lang. Jacob Lang, that's it. He, you know, he sees what's happening. He sees that Donald Trump is protecting these scumbags from prosecution, and he's completely ready to do literally anything for Donald Trump. Up to and including murdering people, I'm sure. Because he's watching Tina Peters and all of these other scumbags get out. In fact, he's one of those scumbags who got out of prison. He was a J6er. And he got out of prison because of Donald Trump. Because Trump allowed him out. He let him out. It emboldens extremists to do extreme things. That's what this does.
I consider rehabilitation where appropriate. I consider punishment where appropriate. I also must ensure that the sentences I impose are consistent among offenders similarly situated, but I must also impose a sentence that is designed to meet Ms. Peters' unique needs. Here, the defense has, and Ms. Peters in particular, has remained quite defiant, which is her right, but certainly not helpful for her lot today. And in arguing why I should impose a particular sentence, she tells me about her ailments, her loss.
Right. She's been claiming that she has cancer literally for 4 years. I don't know if that's true, but it doesn't seem like the cancer is bad enough, one way or another, to justify not serving the time that you should serve, that you are justified in serving for the crimes that you committed, right?
Her struggles in life. But in reality, for those of you who may have been here earlier this morning and seen some of the folks who've occupied that chair before Ms. Peters, there could be not much in the way of a comparison in terms of the type of sympathy one would extend to Ms. Peters. Those folks didn't have 4 lawyers representing them. They didn't have a team of assistants helping them. They're not getting rides in private jets all over the country.
From Mike Lindell. Yeah. Mike Lindell gave her a ride on his private jet.
No, the people who sit in that chair suffer, generally speaking, immeasurable trauma in life, struggle mightily with alcohol abuse, substance abuse, mental health struggles, family loss. They come from broken homes. The cards they were dealt were never the cards that you were dealt, Ms. Peters. So when I hear you discuss your husband, who sadly passed away recently, your family struggles, and your son, who served our country admirably and made the ultimate sacrifice, I consider it. And I note, too, that he honored his oath to the country, something that is not lost on me when considering the circumstances under which you find yourself here.
Again, like, I'm not sure what her son serving in the military or her husband dying has to do with literally fucking anything. How is that connected to anything at all? I appreciate that the judge was being circumspect about everything when he sentenced her. That's important. I want judges who are going to consider everything like that. But this is about Tina. What does her son or husband or whatever have to do with literally fucking anything?
Your age, limited criminal history, and the like are certainly somewhat mitigating. Your ties to the community are what they are, but your reputation at this point is poor because of what you've done here and after. Your lies are well documented, and these convictions are serious. I'm convinced you would do it all over again if you could.
No doubt.
You're as defiant as a defendant as this court has ever seen. You don't have those histories of drug and alcohol abuse. There's no lifetime of trauma, not even close to the type of mitigating circumstances I would see from many folks who sit in that chair. No, to the contrary, Ms. Peters, you are a privileged person. You are as privileged as they come. And you use that privilege to obtain power, a following, and fame. And to be sure, there's no doubt in my mind that it's exactly what you wanted, and it defies all sense of common sense to believe when you suggested to me a few moments ago that you didn't want this attention. No.
Yeah, that's absurd. Again, I said this before, but just to contextualize this, she showed up to her county clerk's office with dudes with cell phones streaming her showing up. She was barred from being there, and she showed up there with dudes with cell phones filming it so that they would film her being forcefully ejected from the premises. For attention, obviously, right? It was all about attention this entire time. It's always been about attention.
You crave it, ma'am. And there is no one in this courtroom who would consider that to be anything other than the absolute truth. But to get to the point of what it is that you did here, it's my impression distinctly that you never took your job of clerking particularly seriously. You didn't complete the certification. One scandal after another followed you in your time as the clerk. And ultimately, it was a belief that the echo chamber in which you live couldn't be wrong, among other things, that led you to do what you did here. This thought process, unfortunately, seems to consume so many in our country, regardless of race, gender, political affiliation, or the like, that what it is we hear and think can't possibly be wrong. There are many things in my mind that are crystal clear about this case. You are no hero, you abused your position, and you're a charlatan who used and is still using your prior position in office to peddle a snake oil that's been proven to be junk time and time again.
The false election claims, of course. How much you guys want to bet that Trump is going to come out and say that she was railroaded and that she was really innocent? I mean, it's the most straightforward, obvious scam on planet Earth. It's a trope at this point. You're being charged with a crime, but you're really the innocent one, right? Donald Trump's really the innocent one. He's being railroaded by everybody around him. It's everyone else that's bad, not him. How did he scam so many fucking people?
In your world, it's all about you. But at bottom, this case was about your corrupt conduct and how no one is above the law. No one in this country has absolute power. Your position as a clerk and recorder, a constitutional position, does not provide you with a means by which to do your own investigation, to not listen to the judiciary, to not listen to the executives higher than you, to not listen to the legislature who sets the law as it may be. This is nonsense. Our system of government can't function when people in government think that somehow, some way, the power they've been given is absolute in all respects. And that's where you fell. You have no respect for the checks and balances of government. You have no respect for this court. You have no respect for law enforcement. And you do not have respect for your fellow colleagues when you were a clerk and recorder who weren't lockstep in your beliefs. Period. Indeed, just weeks before trial, you were apparently doing what I mentioned earlier, that is, over at the clerk and recorder's office where you're not supposed to be, violating the protection order by speaking to employees of that entity with your camera crew in tow.
That's what I was talking about right there.
You have no qualms with violating the court's orders because you're innocent, because you didn't do anything wrong. You were just doing your job. You have no problem trying to kick an officer. Your explanation about what happened is preposterous. It's on video.
That was the video we just watched.
You have no problem lying to officers. It's happened multiple times. They're recorded conversations. It's just more lies. No objective person believes them. No, at the end of the day, you cared about the jets, the podcasts, and the people fawning over you. You abdicated your position as a servant to the Constitution, and you chose you over all else.
Up to and including over the United States, over me and you, over her constituents, over the people who she was supposed to be working for. She chose her over us.
Yes, you are a charlatan, and you cannot help but lie as easy it is for you to breathe. You betrayed your oath for no one other than you. And this is what makes Miss Peters such a danger to our community. It's the position she held that has provided her the pulpit from which she can preach these lies. The undermining of our democratic process, the undermining of the belief and confidence in our election systems. It's not about questioning it. No one says you can't question, you can't ask. It's completely different. And if you don't understand I can say or do here today, that will change your mind. So the damage that is caused and continue to be caused is just as bad, if not worse, than the physical violence that this court sees on an all too regular basis. And it's particularly damaging when those words come from someone who holds a position of influence like you. Every effort to undermine the integrity of our elections and public's trust in our institutions has been made by you. You've done it from that lectern the voting public provided you with. Everything you've done has been done to retain control, influence. The damage is immeasurable. And every time it gets refuted, every time it's shown to be false, just another tale is weaved. So I'll begin by saying I've considered all of those purposes of staying of an execution of a sentence. I've mentioned all of them here generally in my comments already.
So he said he considered, you know, letting her out of prison and not making her serve actual hard time, which she has served up to now. But he chose to send her to prison because she's genuinely a danger to society. The lies she tells, her obsession with power, the shit that she is willing to do to obtain and keep that power is dangerous to society. And she genuinely does not give a fuck about anything or anybody but herself. That was proven unequivocally and beyond a shadow of a doubt by what she said and did in this, specifically, not like in the crime she committed, but in this court hearing. The things that she said and did, the lies that she told, non-fucking stop.
And I find that a stay of any sentence I impose would be wholly unwarranted. All cases have a possibility of reversal on appeal, no doubt. I'm at peace with all the decisions I've made here. If anything, I gave you and your counsel far too much leeway at times, but the rulings I made came after much consideration, incredible amounts of internal debate.
I believe that she did appeal, and it was rejected. I.e., this judge did the right thing, and everybody all along the chain could clearly see that. Every judge that reviewed her appeal, every lawyer that followed it, everybody all along the way could clearly see that what this judge did was absolutely warranted. And now the governor comes in and commutes her sentence. Fucking disgusting.
And I trust in accordance with the applicable law. I consider the sentence here, in this case, what are available to me. Probation. Community corrections wasn't requested, but it wouldn't be an option in any event.
Like community service is what he's saying. She wouldn't be able to get out of this with simple community service.
And an incarcerated sentence to the Department of Corrections. Probation's focus is rehabilitation. That is, for folks who have minimal criminal histories, low LSI scores like you, Ms. Peters, but where punishment isn't really on the table. It's about putting someone back in the community who's not a risk and giving them a chance to correct those things that brought them before me in the first place. Community corrections, which again isn't available, but nevertheless I'll mention, is another option that I could still order. It's much more stringent than probation, but it's not prison. And it's for folks who have even higher needs. Again, drug addicts, alcohol abusers, and the like. And prison is for those folks where we send people who are a danger to all of us. Whether it be by the pen or the sword or the word of the mouth. Prison is where folks go, where punishment is what we're focused on, because the crime committed is so significant that anything less would unduly mitigate the seriousness of the same. I mentioned before there are no mental health concerns. There's no good reason why you're here, Ms. Peters, other than these are all the active decisions that you made that cost our county significantly, but also more importantly, cost you greatly, Mr. Wood, all the members of the county who worked and trusted you when you asked them to do things that they did on your behalf. It's part of your lies. the expense, the toll is immeasurable. So putting you on probation when you have zero needs that would be met by probation is the very definition of unduly depreciating the significance of what it is that you've done here, the harm that you've caused our community and continue to cause. Community corrections is the same. So prison is the only place that duly meets the purposes of sentencing in this matter.
So she doesn't deserve to be out. She deserves to be in prison for what she did because she just does, like, she doesn't care. She has no remorse whatsoever, and she would do it again. And she said that, basically, throughout the entire trial. That's why this is such a bad decision on the part of the governor. She doesn't deserve to get out. She deserves to serve her sentence. If she showed a lick of remorse, literally anything, I would take anything, I might feel different. But that's not the situation we're in.
And therefore the sentence and judgment of the court is as follows. As to counts 1 and 4, the judgment and sentence of the court is 3.5 years in the Department of Corrections. Those sentences will be concurrent to each other. As to count 2, the judgment and sentence of the court is 3.5 years consecutive to counts 1 and 4. As it relates to the misdemeanor charges, count 8 is 120 days in the Mesa County Detention Facility, concurrent to count 9 and 10, which will be 6 months in the Mesa County Detention Facility, consecutive to the prison sentence. The reason those sentences are consecutive is because those sentences are, as the prosecution stated, directly related to what it is that you did here in our community, the damage you caused this community, the breach of your oath to the electorate in Mesa County. Your sentence will be followed by 3 years of parole. You have 2 days of pre-sentence confinement credit.
Anyway.
Anything I missed? Anything else?
Oh, I thought that was the end. I guess not. All right, let's keep going.
Anything I missed? Anything else we need to address?
Judge, I think you missed a sentencing on count.
Yeah, that's basically the end. Anyway, she deserved it. She deserved to stay in. And somehow, she's getting released. I don't know, like, I believe the Colorado governor is a Democrat. Why did he bend to Trump's pressure? Why did he do that? He didn't have to do that. She should have served her entire sentence. Disgusting. She's getting special treatment here, obviously, one way, and no matter how you look at it, right? Other people have to go through the legal system, apply to the parole board, and, you know, I think that this was a state crime, so maybe after she served 60% of her sentence, or maybe 40%, I'm not sure. It depends on the state, I guess. In federal districts, it's 80% of your sentence that you have to serve before you can be eligible for parole. But she was sentenced to like 9 years and 10 months or something. Like basically 10 years, and she only served 4. What happened? Anyway, tell me what you think about it in the comments. Disgusting. Sad and disgusting. Seriously. All right. Peters. Let me write down my timestamp here. That was 50 minutes. Wow, that was a really long one, but it was interesting, so. Tabs.
He gets shot and he keeps.
Wait, let's see here. Hold on. Grothman. Tina Peters is done. Whoop. Ashley St. Clair. Let's watch some of these out of curiosity. Open. I'm just looking here. I'm sorry. 1 second. It's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, cool. And this one is part 1. Okay, good. Ashley St. Clair is an ex-MAGA influencer. She had a baby with Elon Musk, and then she left MAGA and went to the left. She's like pro-trans and everything now. It's wild. Well, she just released a bunch of videos about how Donald Trump rigged the election with Elon Musk's help. Is that true? I'm not actually convinced, but it's interesting anyway. Let's see what she says here.
Get ready with me while I talk about the
Let me turn it up. Hang on.
2024 election and the satellites. Get ready.
All right, there we go. Fixed.
Get ready with me while I talk about the 2024 election and the satellites. For those who don't know, my name is Ashley St. Clair. I was a MAGA influencer involved in MAGA politics for
A Magapotamian, if you will.
almost a decade. I know. Also, a quick aside, everyone was telling me that my vitamin C oil serum is also oxidizing because I was just putting the dropper on my
Couldn't possibly care less. Literally impossible for me to care less than I do right now.
skin, so we're going to put it on my hands today because I am working on taking feedback and adjusting my behavior. There is, again, a lot of discourse around, we shouldn't rebrand Ashley, she was involved in all this harm, and I was.
Interesting. She's saying we shouldn't rehabilitate Ashley, I think is what she's saying, because she was involved in all this harm. I don't get that. If somebody wants to leave MAGA behind, does a complete 180, I'm all in. Yes, absolutely. I will work with you as much as I possibly can. Why wouldn't somebody want to rehabilitate other people if they are leaving MAGA behind and want to help? We need to work with people who turn on Trump, right?
Something that's very important for me to address is that these things happen to me, and I've said this many times before. The cruelty is happening to me because I ignored the cruelty and the pleas of others. There were many people, especially women, who spoke about the issues of single motherhood, of being involved in the court system, of being involved with powerful men, of being involved with men who have outsized influence and power that I ignored. I ignored these people. Not only did I ignore them, but I talked shit about them. I used their experiences as a political talking point, as a political counter.
Just another editing note, I may cut out the section that's not specifically about the election rigging, but I'm not sure exactly where it starts, so we're going to listen through here. Actually, I can know where it starts because I have my chapters. I forgot. Pregnancy in 2024. Growing realization, political influence. Here. This is where it starts? I think this is where it starts. Yes, here we go.
Public sphere, but what I want to focus on is the election, okay? Because this was the first time in my life, and I know I was publicly tweeting about MAGA and elections and Trump, but this was the first time that I felt like my actions had consequences. And I know that sounds insane, but I was very divorced from the reality and the consequences or the fallout of any of my rhetoric or MAGA influencing until we started getting closer to the election. I just didn't think my words and my involvement or any of my actions had any sort of real influence outside of mean tweets. So Elon uses Trump's assassination attempt in Butler to say that this is the catalyst for him supporting Trump, even though he was already supporting Trump and working on his America PAC.
Yeah, it was nonsense.
Yada, yada. Now, in September, I put a dark black MAGA hat on Elon's head while he was at my house. This MAGA hat would become very well known and known as Dark MAGA, okay? I regret to inform everyone that I am responsible for Dark MAGA and the cringe that ensued thereafter. Elon is meeting up with, like, friends, mutual friends we have, and he's like, oh yeah, Ashley gave me this out, whatever. And then he does this whole Dark MAGA thing on stage with Trump very publicly. And so
Are you talking about that moment where he jumped in the air like he just don't care and tried to make an X with his body? You guys remember that shit? Let me find it. Hold on. He jumped in the air. Yeah, here you go. Right here. He jumped in the air every time he went to a MAGA rally. Oh my God, please fucking leave me alone. Are you kidding me? Here, this is the best I can give you. He tried to make an X with his body. And he kept doing this every time he went to a MAGA rally.
So, simultaneously, there are a few things going on. I have this big, gigantic secret that I am having a child with the richest man in the world, and he is all over the news. And there is something just inherently dirty about keeping a secret, even if it's not anything wrong, and I'm not... there's just something that is psychologically fracturing about keeping a secret. Okay, and so now I am being reminded of this secret every time I open my phone or I turn on the TV. And not only that, but now he's jumping around on stage with this gift I gave him, and I like genuinely do not even know how to explain, like, psychologically what this felt like. And he wanted me to see this because then he is sending me the tweets that are like, Elon, where's a Dark MAGA hat? Like, he's sending me these posts to show me, like, look, I'm wearing the thing you gave me. So at this point, I'm like, I'm starting to realize that my actions now have, like, national and global impact, because
I can't believe that she didn't realize that before. But you know what? Like I said, if she wants to, like, leave MAGA behind, I am all in. Okay, I will accept her if she's really leaving MAGA. I mean, Marjorie Taylor Greene has left MAGA. I won't accept her. She's a scumbag. But this person is actually fully turned on the right entirely. So mad respect, right?
It wasn't just this Dark MAGA hat. This Dark MAGA hat was an item that was for sale through the Trump campaign. And so these sales rose astronomically. Astronomically. And so...
This is not the part that I was looking for. Is this the one? I think right here, maybe.
Comfortable, and I know the gravity of what he's trying to tell me right now. I say, wow, finally...
Yeah, this is... All right, step back here.
And I am like, oh, like, who's that?
No, a little more. I'm sorry, guys. I'm trying to find the right spot for editing purposes. We can cut a lot of this.
Elon tells me that he is ready to release his, in his words, anomaly in the Matrix. And I am like, oh, like, who's that? And he says that he has 10,000 lasers in space, referring to his satellites. I say, because I am, like, rather uncomfortable and I know the gravity of what he's trying to tell me right now, I say, wow, finally a focus on the Jewish vote.
That's funny. I appreciate that. The Jewish space lasers. That's good. That's probably what it was a shout out to, of course. The Jewish space laser stuff, but okay.
He keeps going, and he says, you know, this is not a piece that they'll see on the chessboard. And I straight up tell him, I say, I would ask more, but I really don't want to be deposed. To which he says, very wise. Shortly after that, you know, he's involved with America PAC and all of this other stuff, and he's sending me some internal data from America PAC, real-time Delta vote metrics. And I am just like, how the fuck do you have this sort of data? You don't get this from door knocking, because that was one of my first jobs in politics was, in campaigns and cleaning up this bad data from door knocking, because the vendors that America PAC is using at this point is a vendor that hires Craigslist crackheads for door knocking, and I wish I was exaggerating there, but I'm not.
Okay.
I know, like, I have caused harm with my rhetoric. However, I never, like, sought out to cause harm. Like, there were parts of me that really wanted, like, the best for the country, for America, for democracy. And one thing is I have always, always hated big tech. So then to have arguably the most powerful man in the world who is sending me things about, you know, using his space technology in the election. I should also say that I have all of this backed up with many people with explicit instructions should anything happen to me, okay?
All right, well, my issue with this is that that's just not how elections work. He has space lasers? Great. What are those space lasers going to do? I mean, how would he possibly use his Starlink satellites to change election data? I'm very suspect. I'm sorry. It's just, I don't know. It just doesn't make sense. I need some kind of an explanation. Anything. I'll take anything. She's not giving us anything. She's giving us just speculation and anecdote right now. Would I put it past Trump and or Elon to cheat in the election if they could get away with it? Absolutely not. Obviously, they would do that. Without question. But our election system is set up in such a way that there are only, you know, some methods of cheating are easier than others. And outright changing the vote like that is not an easy way. There are far easier ways to cheat than that. So I'm suspect. One of the easy ways to cheat would be to suppress turnout, to close polling locations that you know are going to lean heavily Republican, or heavily Democrat, I mean, and things like that. I don't know of any mechanism in which Starlink could have tampered with the election. I don't think that there is a mechanism where that could have happened at the time. Certainly, or especially because Joe Biden was the president, Trump didn't have his grubby little fingers in the pie at the time. Now, I think he could probably pressure people or change things or whatever, maybe. I mean, it's still a stretch to get, you know, voting stuff to go through Starlink or whatever. I don't know. It's all a stretch. But back then, no. I don't think so. I don't think it would have worked back then. I don't see the mechanism.
But this was something that I was internally wrestling with while publicly not really showing that I was having any of these internal ethical conflicts with myself regarding this information. And then on election night itself, Elon, you know, left Mar-a-Lago early. I was at Mar-a-Lago, and he told me over text, he's like, yeah, I knew hours ago that Trump won. My team has the best real-time data anywhere. First of all, how...
Okay, that's not a surprise. I'm sure he has the best real-time data. I'm sure hell, he could pay people to stand there at polling locations and just do exit polls all day if he wanted. He has that kind of money. That's not a surprise at all.
How the fuck do you have real-time data on elections? How do you have real-time data?
That's not a surprise to me.
I could not understand that. I don't know that I ever will. I saw some shit, guys. Like, I saw some shit, and I'm fighting really hard to keep my voice because I saw shit that impacts everyone. And if I was self-interested, I have been offered the self-interested deal to shut up and not talk about anything. But what I can tell you is I've not been offered certain deals just because I know that he's weird, okay? I saw some shit.
I'm sure that she saw some shit, but I would really like some kind of hard evidence. I'm not gonna believe anybody on anything, period. I'm just not.
And, like, talking about this just sounds crazy. Like, I feel like I sound like a crazy person when I'm like, yeah, he told me about his space lasers and the election. Like, this is... what the fuck? The best I can do is talk about it now. Despite the immense harassment and intimidation of my family that has been going on.
I have no doubt about that. MAGA is nothing if not really good at stochastic terrorism.
Yeah. Anywho, there's a lot of questions about my eyeshadow, and I never mentioned it.
I prefer any woozles.
Because...
Again, we'll cut this stuff out.
Because it was a James Charles palette, and
Ew. James Charles? No.
I hate him and don't want to give him any money, so today we're going to be using the Patrick Ta palette. Tried and true, okay? I don't know. I don't know what's gonna happen to me. Like, I don't know if I'm gonna get... they're gonna pull an Amber Heard, sue me for defamation. I don't know. All I know is...
Okay, Amber Heard was genuinely defaming him, so that's probably a bad example, but yeah.
Is I can't... I don't want this only in my head anymore. I don't want that burden anymore. And I just...
Dude, I love the Windows screensaver back behind her there. That is old school Windows screensaver, right? The pipes? The pipe screensaver? That's awesome. Why the hell is that on behind her there?
I need it off of my head. I need other people who know about this because, in my opinion, it's no good, very bad bears, okay? I don't even know if these videos will be allowed to stay up. I could get a court order tomorrow saying that I need to take them down. I have no idea, but what I'm gonna do is get everything out there while I still retain the ability to do so. I care about my children more than anything in this world. I feel immense guilt for just putting them in this situation to begin with. But I want them to have a country. I want them to have access to democracy. I want
A little late for that one.
everyone to have access to the democracy that we're supposed to. And I am increasingly concerned about our lack of regulations and investigations into how technology is being used to thwart democracy. If you guys thought Cambridge Analytica was bad, okay, it is my opinion that what is happening, especially combined with the behavioral inference model of X and XAI, Twitter, that this is a million times worse than anything we saw with Cambridge Analytica. And that's my opinion. And I have these messages. I have the documents, and I've already provided them to someone who's working on a much larger project than just my testimony.
I hesitate to believe that. I hear that a lot from these types of people. I'm gonna need more than that. You guys remember that whole Onision thing where Chris Hansen claimed that he was working with the FBI on Onision, and it turned out he wasn't? Like, I don't know. I'm gonna need more than that.
That hopefully we'll do some good with it in the coming months. Yeah. And, you know, there's been people saying like, oh, well, she's, you know, he's not suing for defamation, so she must be telling the truth. Anyone can sue you for defamation. Just because someone sues you for defamation, like, that should not, the lawsuit itself, and rich people do this all the time, like, the lawsuit itself, they will use to say like, oh, see, like, I have grounds. But that doesn't mean that I've said anything defamatory, even if they do sue me for defamation.
It's true. Again, unrelated, maybe cut in the final product, possibly.
Which is a possibility. Like, they could still do this just because they can. They have infinite resources. The bar of evidence is not just like a claim. You then have to prove the claim, which that would not go anywhere. I would never be found liable of defamation, but it is a possibility.
Yeah, this is all gonna be cut in the final product. Not really important. How far in are we? We're almost done, but I think... Yeah, okay. There's a part 2. Let's continue from here.
Get ready with me while I talk a little bit more about things that are probably going to get me in trouble. Those who don't know, my name is Ashley St. Clair. I was a MAGA influencer involved in MAGA politics for almost a decade. I know.
Wait, is this the same one? This isn't the same one, right? I don't think it is. Hold on. 1 second. Part 2, part 1. No, they're different.
There are a lot of people who are, you know, saying, why didn't you say anything sooner? Okay, let's talk about the satellites again and what Elon had told me about the satellites and the election and his weird ass real-time data that I'm unsure how he had.
That's not surprising that he has real-time data. I feel like she's using that as evidence that there's something weird going on, but I'm not, you know, surprised by that at all.
First of all, I am unaware of any law that says thou shalt not use satellites in elections, okay? At this time, I had just had a child with this man. I did not think it was illegal. It probably isn't, to be honest. I find it strange to be like, why didn't you punch the most powerful, insane people in the face sooner when you have 2 babies to take care of? Like, this isn't just Elon, this is also Trump and the current administration and the people who run quite literally every federal agency, okay? First and foremost, I needed to make sure that I had protections in place, not for myself, but for my babies, who are my entire world, okay? And through a very long, laborious, and painful process, that has been accomplished. And again, I have my second child in September, okay? September of 2024. And while I am in the delivery room alone with my mother, I am getting...
Wow, Elon isn't even there for the birth? Are you kidding me right now?
Messages from... If anyone knows, then everyone's gonna die. I don't know. He's like scaring the shit out of me, honestly. But this is how these people operate. They operate through fear. They want you to think that if you speak up, something catastrophic will happen. Yeah. One thing that was interesting about the data, the internal data he sent me from America Pack, one of the charts had, oh my god, ew, had certain milestones, like comparative milestones on it. So they were tracking real-time Delta vote metrics, which, again, not sure how you do that before election day, whatever. And they're tracking this and seeing how it changes with the cash prizes Elon is offering, from the I think it was like $47, then they upped it, and then the $1 million prize.
I'm not familiar with this.
So they are tracking this, and he quite explicitly did this to like bribe men to vote, because I was having a conversation with him back in September, and I said, you know, it's ridiculous that they shit on women so much for voting, you know, the way they don't like, because men don't even vote. Like, they don't even vote at the same rate as men. They're just mad that we are better at voting than them. And Elon, like, gets all hyped up, and he's like, I will make them vote. I'm the best goddamn general in the world. They just need a carrot. And then he announces this.
They need a Karen? Is that what it is? Elon thinks that he needs to be their Karen to follow them around with a ridiculous haircut and bitch in their ear? Is that what it is? Okay. Solid plan.
Fucking $1 million prize, okay? So there's also a cohort of maggots who are saying that I'm doing this for attention. What the fuck? You think I'm risking my life for attention? I can assure you there are much better ways for me to get attention than, you know, making myself a target from literally the most powerful people in the world, from the White House to Elon Musk, okay? What the fuck is wrong with you people? There's also a cohort of people. Like I said, there is a very respectable individual who has the text and documents with the information that I disclosed yesterday. And there's a lot of people who were like, why don't you give this to a big journalist? Why don't you give this to a big outlet? Okay, if you guys...
So far, I haven't heard anything that is damning. She's basically just said that Elon implied that he was going to rig the election. But, you know, he said he was going to do it with Starlink satellites. There's no mechanism there to do that. How are you going to change election results for people who voted on paper, whether through mail or in person? It doesn't work like that. If you give me a mechanism, you know, it'll change my outlook on this, change my opinion. But so far, I've got, you know, you're not giving me anything.
Don't understand how the media and like actual credentialed journalism works. They are not going to run a headline based on my text with Elon, based on like my signal messages with Elon. That's not how this works. Real reporting takes a lot of time, okay? But I will say I've had a lot of time over the last year and a half here. There's also a strange cohort who's like, well, you know, I just don't understand how you changed your views.
Again, this is deviating from the point, so I guess I'll wrap it up. Anyway, it sounds like she doesn't really have much aside from just Elon kind of implying that he was going to change the election results. But again, there's no mechanism there for that, so I'm very skeptical. Tell me what you think in the comments. Did Elon rig the election? I don't think so. I wouldn't put it past him. I know he absolutely would if he could, but I'm real skeptical that the mechanism is even there. Okay, let's see. Next one, Ashley St. Clair is done. Let's hit this one. So this ex-MAGA Potamian calls into C-SPAN to talk about how much he regrets voting for Trump. And an active Magadonian, like some congressman, I think, is there to shoot him in the foot and say, no, Trump is really the best. Check this out.
Hard for me to say this, but I think...
Let me turn it up. I'm sorry. Hold on.
Hard for me to say this, but I think if I can open up about it in public, that it might help others. I wanted to believe Trump was the real deal for a long time, even though I had doubts because I knew enough about his business history to think otherwise. But now I regret my support for him, and I should have known better. He's making it plain as day. He's a con man.
Yeah, you absolutely should have known better. That is on you. I'm blaming you for that one. I'm glad that these people are kind of pulling themselves out of it. But you are 100% to blame for this. Good job. You kind of deserve that.
A liar, doesn't keep his promises. He's in office all for himself, and he doesn't even try to hide his corruption anymore. So unless you get all your information from what I call the right-wing propaganda for profit, disinformation, media, industrial complex, he's the worst president we've ever had, and he's the most corrupt president we've ever had. I know it's hard. It took me a while to be able to say that.
Absolutely. I mean, the corruption is off the charts. I never thought we would see anything like this, but here we are. Suing his own Justice Department and getting his own Department of Justice, his personal lawyer who runs the Department of Justice, to sign off on an agreement to give him $1.7 billion from the IRS. That is wildly corrupt. My God, dude. Not to mention the meme coin that he sold. You remember that shit? Scamming people out of all of that money? The cryptocurrency, the NFTs, or whatever the hell? Just the corruption goes to the absolute core. It is insane.
Very difficult when you commit yourself to believing in somebody.
Thomas, if you don't mind me interjecting, did you vote for Trump all three times in 2016, 2020, 2024?
I'm sorry, I missed that. Say that again, please.
Did you vote for President Trump all three times that he's run?
Yes. I wanted to vote. I considered a third party, and I considered even a Democrat, but I did, in the end, vote for him.
And what do you feel? That's really interesting. What do you feel, or what was the straw that broke the camel's back this time around? Was it the war? Is it something else?
I don't think it's one thing. It's been a cumulative process. And it's gotten so blatant now, and he's just literally the things he's going to lower prices on day one. He was going to do this on day one. Only he could fix all this stuff.
Well, we knew that he was a liar. We knew that he couldn't be trusted to actually keep his word. But this goes beyond just simple not keeping your word. This is him actively destroying things that he said that he was going to fix. Like setting out to fuck everything.
And now I understand how somebody like Adolf Hitler was able to brainwash millions of people.
Absolutely. Yeah. You know, one of the things that really bothers me about World War II, I consider myself an expert in Christian nationalism and the church in World War II and how they capitulated to Hitler, like how he gained control of the systems at the time. I've written 2 books about it. One of them's releasing imminently, God's People, Christian Nationalism in the Third Reich. Anyway, one of the things that bothers me the most about World War II historiography is that people have this view of the era like it's the root of all evil, when really all the people acting at that time weren't unusually evil. They were all just pretty much normal people who followed one logical step after another that eventually led to what it led to. But to believe that they were supernaturally evil or something makes people feel like it couldn't happen anywhere else. Well, guess what? It can, and it does. You know, that may not even be the most evil shit that's ever happened, the Holocaust. Look at the Rwandan genocide. Is that more evil? I don't know. I mean, it was a genocide. They're both genocides, right? Problem is that the people in World War II were not supernaturally evil, and it really can happen anywhere. The only thing that stands between us and what happened in World War II is a thin layer of institutional expectations. That's it.
I never thought I'd see that again in my lifetime, but it's happened, right? I thought we got past that, but we don't learn from history. But I just hope the best we got to slow him down, make him accountable any way we can. Right now, the only weapon is to vote for as many Democrats, whether you like them or not, to just get some balance back into our system of checks and balances, right? Congress is doing nothing to stop him. He has more power. He wants to be a king, and we're letting him get away with it. We fought a revolutionary war against England because we didn't want to be ruled by an arbitrary king like Trump wants to be. So, but I'll stop there for that. Leavingmaga.org for anybody who's interested. It gives you a community.
Leavingmaga.org. Leavingmaga.org. Interesting. I've never seen this before. Meet the people leaving MAGA. It really is a cult, a full-blown cult. And fascinatingly, again, I know a lot about World War II and that era. There was a Hitler cult, a Führer cult is what it was called. And there's a book about it by Ian Kershaw, written in, I think, 1986, called The Hitler Myth. And it's about the people who literally viewed him as the Messiah. Does that sound familiar? They viewed Hitler as the Messiah. And we are once again seeing this whole thing play out all over again. And people have to pull out of it like they have to pull out of a cult. You know, they're leaving Jehovah's Witnesses websites. jwfacts.com. Facts about Jehovah's Witnesses. Are these the last days? You don't see this type of shit unless it's a high control group. You don't see this type of shit, this Leaving MAGA website, unless it's a high control group. And it absolutely is. What's this?
Hi, everyone. This is Rich Logis, Executive Director of Leaving MAGA. I'm one of those who fell down the MAGA wormhole. For 6 years, I was very active. I had a regular radio gig, and I wrote op-eds for far-right outlets, hazing Democrats, owning the libs with the best of them. I even started my own MAGA podcast. I was all in. And yet here I am, talking with you today. Before I go any further, I would like to apologize for the harm I have caused our country. I am speaking out to make amends for my past deeds and rhetoric. My journey into and out of MAGA was circuitous. I drifted into its orbit as a fierce independent. From an early age, I mistrusted both political parties. I thought they didn't care about the people. In the 2000 presidential election, when I was 23, I voted for Ralph Nader. Over the years, that strong independent streak never faded. By the time Trump came along, I was primed to fall for a guy who promised to obliterate the established political order. The spark of my liberation actually was struck by my governor, Ron DeSantis. It was the summer of 2021. I was already harboring doubts about MAGA since I never believed the 2020 election was stolen, but for all intents and purposes, I was still very much on the team. COVID was ravaging the nation. By this point, the summer of 2021, roughly 650,000 Americans had died from the disease. I'm
assuming that since he got in 2020, wow, I'm surprised. I'm assuming that he probably fell down the pipeline because of COVID, right?
I see news stories about a surge in COVID deaths in Florida from the Delta variant. Children's hospitals were getting overcrowded, and some kids were dying. I was getting freaked out. My older girl was 5.
Weren't we all?
5, and my youngest was just 2. I couldn't get the images out of my mind, the desperate parents in intensive care units, in morgues. For months, Governor DeSantis had treated the pandemic properly, that is, as a grave threat to public health. Then one day, out of the blue, he did a 180. He platformed anti-vax cranks and crackpot COVID conspiracists.
Yeah, he made his main Surgeon General, the main health guy in all of Florida, Ladapo, he was an anti-vaxxer. who worked with Sherry Tenpenny, who was on podcasts with Sherry Tenpenny, who claimed, who started that whole, you can stick a key to your forehead thing and it sticks. Like the whole COVID magnetism shit. That was Sherry Tenpenny. And the Surgeon General of Florida worked with her. Seriously. What the fuck?
The vaccine will change your RNA. It has a better chance of killing or harming you than COVID. That sort of drivel. The next day, a reporter asked him about the kooks. DeSantis said he couldn't remember what the speakers had said the day before at his press conference. I was furious that he was taking me for an idiot, and that drove me to take a fateful step. I left the MAGA echo chamber. I picked up papers I hadn't read since before MAGA. They were part of what I had dubbed on my podcast and in my articles, the Democrat media industrial complex, the New York Times, the Washington Post, the Atlantic. So I was once again consuming actual journalism. Then I learned that some of DeSantis' staffers were spreading conspiracy theories about a biomedical security state run by who else? The Jews. The whole sickening experience drove me to take another fateful step. I went back and learned everything that had happened in the run-up to and on the day of January 6th. At the time of the attack, I took the MAGA position that the Democrats and national media were blowing what happened way out of proportion. I stopped paying attention to coverage of it. I had also told myself that the extremists, the Proud Boys, the Oath Keepers, the Three Percenters were just hangers-on, political dilettantes who were there for the excitement rather than the politics. But I soon came to learn that these groups were far from irrelevant. In fact, they were Trump's allies, which meant they were my allies. I was complicit. I felt rage, confusion, shock, and most acutely shame. I was inextricably linked to the domestic terrorists I had once yawned at. And yet, it took me another year to truly walk away from MAGA. I call it...
Interesting. So he viewed the Proud Boys in a negative light, even while inside of MAGA?
My year of heaven and hell. I came to realize that ever since I joined MAGA, I had never really taken a break from the trauma, the desperation, and the panic that were part and parcel of being a dedicated MAGA American. But I was wholly invested in MAGA. It was my family, my purpose. My identity and social status depended on it. It was excruciating to even consider cutting myself off from what had become my community. My internal tug of war was intense. My conscience and profound doubts battled with the fear of losing my community. I spent a lot of sleepless nights fighting with myself. Finally, in July 2022, I quietly left MAGA. I almost immediately felt that my private act, however, was insufficient.
July 2022. So it sounds like he was MAGA before 2020, but COVID actually pulled him out of it.
I published my mea culpa a month later at Occupy Democrats. Eventually, I felt that going public with my story was like spitting into a storm, and I had to do more. So I founded Leaving MAGA. Our mission is to empower people to leave MAGA and tell their stories, and to help people with friends and family in the movement figure out ways to break through and reconnect with their loved ones.
I appreciate the hell out of that, dude. This guy is awesome.
We are a safe, non-judgmental community. We know there are lots of MAGA Americans who are having doubts. Spreading the word far and wide about others who have left can help give them the courage to take the leap. We've gotten some attention from national media, and I was honored to address last summer's Democratic National Convention to endorse Kamala Harris. We all know that a lot of young men have fallen under Trump's thrall. If anyone's going to get through to them, it's going to be their peers. Let's figure out ways we can collaborate.
I love it, dude. That's fantastic. We need people like this right here. You know what we really need and what worked in World War II? I wanted to understand this because I wanted to understand denazification. I wanted to know how that worked. Here's how it worked. Shame. Massive shame. Making people feel embarrassed to be associated with this movement. Making them feel ashamed to be connected to it. People would show up to job sites wearing their jack boots, you know, or whatever. Those big boots that Nazis wore. Whatever they're called. And they'd send them home for the day. They'd say, I don't give a fuck if it's the only pair of boots you own. Don't show up until you have something different to wear. They were just like, that's how it works. That's how denazification logistically succeeds. Through massive shame. I was a devoted member of MAGA. I was a devoted member of MAGA Nation for 7 years. It made me feel I was a part of something important, a movement that was trying to save American democracy. But starting in 2021, I realized I'd been mistaken. It took me a full year to finally break away. During that time, I came to understand that MAGA is sustained by a series of myths that are intended to create perpetual feelings of desperation and panic. That's fascinating, dude. I love everything about it. That's just the best.
Of people who used to be supporters, but who also are having doubts now. So and being part of this community is a big part of the appeal, I think, right? So that's something others who might be having doubts could check into.
Yeah, anyway, tell me what you think about it in the comments. I'm sorry, I'm going to have to edit this. I thought the beginning of this had a congressman who was pushing back against it. That's my mistake. That's just the best, dude. I love it. All right, let me write down my timestamps here. 1:37. Then 50. Oops, I'm sorry. I'm just trying to write down my timestamps. Just give me a second here. 50 to 107. What did we cover right before this? Oh, Ashley St. Clair. Yeah, that looks right. So that's 4. All right, let me just go do something real fast. I'm going to grab something, and then we're going to continue. I think what we're going to hit next is... there's this ex-gay story. There's also Candace Taylor and Che On. Let's hit the ex-gay story next. Yeah, we'll hit that in just a second. I'm going to go grab something real fast. I'll be right back. And while I do that, I'm going to let something play.
Got a question here about...
What's this? I already covered that. Let me check Greg Locke. Greg Locke's son died recently. Overdose. I'm sorry to say. I don't want anybody dead. But I'll let this play for a couple of minutes while I go grab something. I'll be right back, okay?
Remember what you said. But in 10 years from now, we will never forget that you made time to be here with our family tonight. And I say thank you to the bottom of my heart for every single person in this house.
All right. I'll be right back. 1 second.
Whether you go to this church, whether you've gone to this church, whether you've come from across the world, whether you've come from another state, thank you for being here. May the Lord bless you. May the face of his favor gloriously shine upon each of us tonight in this room. Evan would not have wanted a slow, mournful, boring departure. He was an adventurous young man, lived life to the fullest, went out the same way he came in. And in a moment, a couple of our boys will be sharing some testimony more tomorrow. Some wanted to tonight, but just understandably need a little more time. Now tonight, the Holy Spirit said, don't write anything down. Just talk. We've not got to the eulogy yet. We will. But I want to say, as Evan's dad and as the pastor of this church, that there's nothing in all of the world that helps us understand the importance of life like a death. You see, in death, we're not Democrats or Republicans. We're not Global Vision members or another church. We're not mad about this and mad about that. In death, it brings about a unity where we understand that the living shall lay it to heart, because you too shall pass this way, as will I. Somebody will eulogize me at some point in my life. You know, it's interesting. When we got the call and we were all down there in the room. You know, I've done this a lot in 34 years of preaching. More than I care to, more than I want to. It's an occupational hazard, and I've been with many of you, and I've wept and mourned with you, and I've always known who to call. Judge Sellers has been a friend of our family for many years. Our church has used Sellers Funeral Home, our church, our family.
By the way, thank you, Brian, maybe. I appreciate the sticker, the rose. All right, let's continue where we left off. What were we going to cover? Oh, yeah, Che An, I think. No, the ex-gay dude. Former ex-gay leader Alan Chambers charged with soliciting a minor. My understanding is that this guy was gay, quote unquote, became a conversion therapist, a Christian conversion therapist type of person. You know the type. And now he's in trouble for soliciting a minor. Being a Christian, that doesn't surprise me. Or being a Christian faith leader, that doesn't surprise me at all. All right, let's check this out. This is from Hemant Mehta's website, The Friendly Atheist. The former leader of Exodus International, a Christian ministry that once argued that they could pray away the gay, has been charged with trying to solicit a minor, as if we needed another reminder that good judgment was never his strong suit. Alan Chambers made headlines in 2012 when, as president of the largest and most well-known ex-gay group, he admitted that homosexuals couldn't actually be cured, and that conversion therapy didn't work, and that he personally believed gay people who didn't repent could still go to heaven. And that he personally believed gay people who didn't repent could not go to heaven, I think is what he's saying. Chambers himself was gay, but he had always insisted he turned straight, got married to a woman, and adopted 2 children together. All this despite harboring same-sex attractions, because of course he still did. By 2013, Exodus International shut down entirely. That same year, Chambers issued a formal apology about his role in promoting that harmful misinformation that ruined countless lives. Quote, "Then there's the trauma that I've caused. There were several years that I conveniently omitted my ongoing same-sex attractions. Oh my God. I was afraid to share them as readily and easily as I do today. They brought me tremendous shame, and I hid them in the hopes they would go away. Looking back, it seems so odd that I thought I could do something to make them stop. Never in a million years would I intentionally hurt another person. Yet here I sit, having hurt so many by failing to acknowledge the pain some affiliated with Exodus International caused, and by failing to share the whole truth about my own story. My good intentions matter very little and failed to diminish the pain and hurt others have experienced on my watch. The good that we've done at Exodus is overshadowed by all of this." Wow, the good you've done? Are you kidding me? "Please know that I'm deeply sorry. I'm sorry for the pain and hurt many of you experienced. I'm sorry that some of you spent years working through the shame and guilt you felt when your attractions didn't change. I'm sorry we promoted sexual orientation change efforts and reparative theories about sexual orientation that stigmatized parents. I'm sorry there were times I didn't stand up to people publicly on my side who called you names like sodomite or worse." So it sounds like he's still a Christian and still a believer in conversion therapy, let me say it again, but doesn't believe that conversion therapy can be successful, and still thinks that if you're gay, then you'll go to hell unless you repent. That's what I'm picking up here. Hemant Mehta says, was that sincere? I suppose, but even if there's been growing acceptance, even among conservatives, that people don't choose to be gay or lesbian, we're still living in a country where right-wing zealots and evangelical Christians believe kids are groomed to become trans, as if that too is a choice. Chambers' apology may have been heartfelt, but he was right to realize he wasn't about to be forgiven for what he unleashed upon the world. I probably hadn't heard Chambers' name mentioned in over a decade until this week, when he was arrested for allegedly trying to meet someone he thought was a 14-year-old boy. He'd actually been talking to an undercover officer the entire time. Damn. Orange County court records show the charges against him include solicitation of a minor via computer, transmission of material harmful to minors, and unlawful use of a two-way communication device. WFTV News got a hold of the affidavit, which offers more details. Damn, dude. According to the affidavit, the detective identified himself on Snapchat as a 14-year-old boy living in Orlando. The user identified himself as a 50-year-old man named John David and told the undercover detective he lived in Orlando, and later moved the conversation to text messages and Telegram, investigators said. According to the affidavit, the user repeatedly discussed meeting and engaging in sexual activity with the person he believed was a teenager. Jesus Christ, dude. And I'm so glad that we have people out there doing this shit. Seriously. Investigators said the user also repeatedly expressed concern about the age difference and the possibility of getting in trouble. When asked whether he communicated with any children, investigators said Chambers told them he communicated with one person he identified as a code name, who was 14 years old and whom he met on Snapchat. According to the affidavit, Chambers told investigators they discussed meeting but would not specify why. The facts were this is Hemant Mehta again. The facts aren't looking great for him, which is disturbing, not just because of what he appears to have done, but because by all accounts, he'd finally moved on from his past. In 2016, he delivered sermons at Washington National Cathedral and marched in pride parades. Wow, really? That is surprising as hell. He delivered sermons, More recently, he was an executive for a fashion company and still in the public eye. Even in recent profiles, he didn't hide his past. Damn, dude, that's crazy. So he had fully moved on. The best-dressed booster, Alan Manning Chambers. Vice President of Operations, John Craig Clothier. Okay. You don't want to be in the same picture with Alan Manning Chambers, the Secretariat of Clothes Horses. My dad was a clothes horse too, he says. What the fuck is a clothes horse? We went shopping every Friday and Saturday night at Rutland's and Ivy's. He created a monster. So it's no surprise that Chambers would eventually become Vice President of Operations for award-winning John Craig Clothier, with 8 stores across Florida, including the mothership on Park Avenue. In addition, he's chairman of Park Avenue Merchants Association, for which he won Chairman of the Year from the... There's a Chairman of the Year award? What? Okay, whatever. Okay, this is Hemant Mehta again. He says there that his post-Exodus life has changed me, helped me become a better father, a better husband, and a better leader, which I know still doesn't make up for the harm he caused. So what led him to pursue a child and not just use something like Grindr? Who knows? He didn't speak for LGBTQ people before, and he sure as hell doesn't now. But you can bet conservatives will attempt to use this as proof that gay people are groomers. Chambers was a useful tool for the right in the past, and some things never change. In that sense, it's disturbing that this is how he's resurfacing. It's no longer someone who's made peace with the damage he caused and has ideas for how to make amends for it. Instead, he's someone accused of trying to exploit a child. He went from enemy to pariah to accused predator. There's no redemption in that arc. After spending years fueling moral panics about LGBT people, he's now accused of behavior far worse than the lies he used to spread. Damn, dude. But that's also where conservatives should tread carefully. Chambers represents no one but himself. There are predators in churches and politics, as we know all too well, and there's nothing the right can say about Chambers when they're turning a blind eye to the Epstein files and their own megachurches. What we should be talking about is the culture of repression and secrecy and fear that still exists among many people with same-sex attraction. That culture creates an environment for all kinds of poor decisions. In some ways, Alan Chambers is both an architect and casualty of that culture. Damn, that's a shame. I'm sorry to hear that. Speaking of megachurches, here's another Christian figure who just got himself in even more hot water. Christian megachurch founder Brian Houston shared adult content on social media. Again. This is another article from Hemant Mehta. A well-known Christian pastor has once again been caught publicly sharing adult content on social media, leading him to make up wild excuses for why that couldn't possibly have been his fault. Didn't Ted Cruz do this? I'm pretty sure Ted Cruz shared adult entertainment, or he liked a video on the twit or something like that. Is this the most important story in the world? No. Is it hilarious? Absolutely. And we all deserve some joy, so let's dig in. In the early hours on Thursday morning, Pastor Brian Houston reposted a video on Twitter/X from an account called The Classic Porno Star Era 80, 90, 2000. The actual NSFW image can be seen here if you dare to click. I do not dare to click. Writer David Ferrier, who documented all of this, described the incident this way. He shared 8 minutes and 23 seconds of hardcore entertainment featuring two French adult entertainment stars. I'm trying to make this monetizer friendly. From the 70s. I counted 6 different positions and saw a lot of stuff, which is what I imagine Houston also saw at 2 a.m. when he accidentally hit the share button. That's so fantastic, dude. I love it. Oh my God. Maybe he deserves some credit. The guy wants to turn the clock back so badly, he only shares adult entertainment that's 5 decades old. Why is he looking at this? 5 decades old? Aren't those people like 80 now or some shit? Okay. You couldn't find something newer? All right. Whatever. That's fine. The issue, of course, isn't that the man is watching adult entertainment or even that he accidentally pushed a share button, though I would just point out on the Twit app, you need to click twice to repost anything. By the way, quick editor's note, we may remove the ex-gay stuff and just keep this. Depends on if we need, maybe put that at the end. I don't know. This seems like a really interesting story in its own right, so. The issue is that Houston is one of those holier-than-thou Christians who would normally condemn this sort of thing as a sin. But this isn't even the first time this has happened. In 2024, Houston was called out after he posted a bizarre tweet reading simply, "Ladies and girls kissing." He certainly typed that in to the twit, thinking he was typing it into the search engine, but he was really typing it into a post, right? Is what was happening here? Oh, that's fantastic. I love that shit, dude. It might have gone unnoticed if Houston wasn't the sort of person with over 500,000 followers. Why would you even be on that account? You don't have a second account that you use just for your personal shit? Okay. He's the founder and former global senior pastor of Hillsong Church. Oh my God, I didn't realize it was of Hillsong. An evangelical megachurch that began in Australia and has a number of affiliates worldwide. It's also extremely controversial. Yeah, I believe it's almost like a cult, right? And isn't Chris Pratt in Hillsong? I think he is. There were the moral failures of hipster pastor Carl Lentz of their New York affiliate, and the financial and leadership failures of Reed and Jess Bogard of their Dallas affiliate, and the COVID-related death of a church member who happened to be an anti-vaxxer, and the 60 Minutes Australia segment that documented even more allegations of sexual abuse by Hillsong leaders, so egregious that reporter Tom Steinfurt said the church was guilty of indifference to the victims. So, indifference to the victim's suffering so heartless it would surely make Jesus weep. Damn, that's a deep cut, dude. In 2021, Houston was arrested on charges that he concealed CSA, or CSAM. I'm sure you guys understand what I'm getting at here. That he supposedly knew about because the alleged culprit was his own father. Holy shit, dude. In 2023, however, he was acquitted of those charges. Anyway, back to the ladies and girls kissing. That's just the best. I think my Twitter may have been hacked, he tweeted. That tweet remained up for 16 minutes before it was deleted, and Houston tweeted that his account had been broken into. Please, it's so empty and vapid. It's like a trope nowadays. I think I've been hacked. Really. If the timestamps look strange, it's because those screenshots are coming from different sources, but the time difference was 16 minutes. That was later followed up by a different statement from one of his assistants clarifying that, yes, internet haters, it was totally a hack. These people are so stupid, dude. I swear to God. It was a hack. Hello, everyone. Thank you for your concern. P.S. Brian's assistant here. Rest assured, we are working on discovering how P.S. Brian was hacked. Our team has ascertained that someone logged into his account from a location within the USA. Oh, I bet. Would you say that someone logged into his phone? Like his own cell phone? We've changed his password, so here's hoping they no longer have access. Please disregard anything that seems out of the normal. It's so stupid. For your safety, remember Pastor Brian does not contact anyone privately. Thank you. Wow. Okay. Please disregard anything. Okay, yeah. I read that. Please disregard anything that seems out of the normal was a very strange request when so much of Houston's behavior has been abnormal. Oh boy, there's a link associated with this. What does the link bring us to? Hillsong founder resigns again following misconduct allegations. Let me just write a note here. I'm sorry. 157. Pops in the corner. Okay, I'm sorry. I was just putting a note in. 151. To, yeah. In a plea for forgiveness, this church leader has stepped down multiple times. The founder and former head of Australia-born megachurch Hillsong has once again made a public show of stepping away from power, this time amid multiple misconduct allegations in the form of resignation. Wow, dude, this guy. With all that in mind, though, did anyone really believe this was a hack? Who goes through all the trouble to hack someone's account only to post those 4 words? Ladies and... That's really... Wait, what was it? Ladies and girls kissing. Ladies and girls kissing. That is... I'm sorry, dude. That's funny. That's somebody who is deeply sexually repressed. Ladies and girls kissing. Top tier shit, dude. Okay, let's continue here. There's more. I have to go grab something in a minute. With all that in mind, did anyone really believe this was a hack? Who goes through all the trouble to hack someone's account only to post those 4 words? Why not change the password? Why not post a more scandalous image? If you wanted to make a prominent pastor look bad, there are far more troubling things you could do. And who recovers from a hack in 16 minutes? I've been hacked before. It took days to fully regain access to my account. I've never actually been hacked. I'm very careful about it. And why was he allegedly following a salacious account on Instagram? What's this? Following a salacious account. Girls kissing. Oh my God, dude. He was following the girls kissing Instagram account on... on Instagram. That's awesome. What the fuck? All right, I got to go grab something. I'll be right back.
The Locke side, the Andrew side, we've used Sellers so many times. But the most amazing, confusing, unimaginable thing happened to a pastor this past Friday. We sat in a room and doctors told us what we already knew they were going to tell us on our way to the hospital. I'd worked for Metro for a long time. I know what they can and can't tell you, and we had braced ourselves for the inevitable impact. We sat in that room, and nothing in that moment can prepare you for the finality of those words. Nothing. And I've grieved a number of different ways. I'll be 50 years old this weekend. And I've grieved a lot in 50 years, and I'll grieve more. But I don't believe there can be a grief deeper than what our family's experiencing at this moment. And many of you. I don't minimize that. But the craziest thing happened when the doctors told us that Evan couldn't be revived. In that moment, I didn't even know what phone call to make. I didn't know what arrangements to make, and I've done this hundreds of times for grieving families. People in this room whose children have passed away, and I've done their funerals. But when it comes home, there's a different reality in the air. Life is just sucked out of your insides. And immediately within just moments, the enemy began to say, yeah, woulda, shoulda, coulda, what if? But those doubts don't win tonight. The enemy doesn't win tonight. Addiction doesn't win tonight. Death doesn't win tonight. The devil will pay 100-fold for the life that he has taken. The amount of messages that have come into our church office and our family and friends has been astounding. But the thing that has astounded me the most have been the testimonies of people that I have never and probably will never meet that somehow or another had a connection to my son. He touched people that I never knew. And you have to understand something about the reality of people that struggle with addictions, some of which are in this room. There's a massive difference between someone that has a rebellious heart and a struggling flesh. And Evan didn't have a rebellious bone in his body, but he struggled. And we don't minimize that struggle. The struggle was the proof of the calling of God upon his life that everyone knows was upon his life. I want to take a moment to do a couple of things. And time and my memory and my emotions would fail me to name everyone. But no matter who you are in this room, no matter, there are people in this room that housed Evan, fed him, took him places, loved him, Ubered him, rebuked him, helped him, hurt with him. All of you were a blessing to him.
Okay. Sorry. Just had to make some food real fast. I didn't eat before the stream. Where was I? And why was he allegedly following a salacious account on Instagram? That's awesome. And why, when he attempted to prove he was hacked, did this now deleted tweet point to a totally different account? Do I dare? Do I dare click it? On air live? I dare. I do dare. Oh, it's closed. It just, there's nothing there. I guess they deleted the account. Hello, everyone, says Brian Houston. Thanks again for your concern. Our team has discovered an unusual login was detected. See below. Unfortunately, many had access to Pastor Brian's social media and could have had his password. We've done our best to secure his accounts, but unfortunately, we believe it was a deliberate attempt to embarrass Pastor Brian. Yeah, I bet. Thank you, Yolanda. Metal fucking name, right? Yolanda, I love it. The alternative theory here was that Houston was doing an online search late at night without realizing he was making it public in a very Ed Balls sort of way. It was certainly plausible. Houston was 70 at the time. No one was accusing the guy of being tech savvy. He wouldn't be the first person who didn't realize his private thoughts were actually public. Ted Cruz beat him to it. Oh, I forgot about that. Hell, a former Australian politician used the same excuse in the very same month. What was this about Ted Cruz? I forget. Right, he liked a tweet of adult entertainment. Yeah, I remember that now. Yes. Oh my God. How stupid, right? Hang on, let me take a bite of my food. It's macaroni and cheese. Wait, was it Yolinda or Yolanda? Yeah, it was Yolanda. I muted all that for your mental health. Oh, okay, no sweat. Well, hopefully you're back with us. Also, you're far more likely to be careless when you're typing with one hand. Okay, it's a sick fucking burn. But even if we assumed Houston was performing a search, it raised more disturbing questions, like what the hell sort of search is that? If you're searching for two women kissing, why would you search for ladies and girls? Is that overly formal or just plain weird? Should we have been more disturbed by the inclusion of girls? Was this the sort of guy who visited Adult Entertainment Hub for monetization purposes and searched for boob? That's a good point. Damn. His style was almost as awkward as trying to sext someone by saying, I'd like to kiss and cuddle you, which happened to be exactly what Brian Houston once texted to a staff member. Oh my God, dude. The Hillsong Global Board on Friday afternoon sent a letter to church members leaked to the ABC about complaints made about Mr. Houston's conduct in 2013 and 2019. Quote, Pastor Dooley, in an emotional video conference, said the texts were along the lines of, if I was with you, I'd like to kiss you and cuddle you. Words of that nature. Oh my God, it's painful. The Hillsong Global Board said Mr. Houston at the time was under the influence of sleeping tablets. Oh, please, dude. Upon which he has developed a dependence. Oh, now we have to care about him and his well-being, right? We're worried about him. Oh my God. These people are fucking shameless with the lies that they'll tell. It's just absurd. All right, hang on. I'm going to take another bite here. 1 second. It's a lot easier to do if I'm watching a video instead of reading an article. But I've chosen to read an article, so I'm going to do, it's the challenging route. We'll make it. Just one more bite. Yeah, he's on those Roseanne sleeping pills, exactly. Where was I? Beyond the words themselves, that whole incident was even more jarring because Houston is openly bigoted against LGBTQ people. In 2015, he said of his church, quote, we do not affirm a gay lifestyle, and that Hillsong did not knowingly have actively gay people in positions of leadership. His church also advocated for conversion therapy. Oh, fantastic. Houston didn't think it was okay to act on one's homosexuality, unless, I guess, you were a lady or a girl and wanted to kiss another lady or a girl, in which case Houston was not okay with it. He wanted to watch. I'm sorry, in which case Houston was not only okay with it, he wanted to watch. That is so ridiculous, dude. Allegedly. He shouldn't have used the hacking excuse. It would have been so much easier to just tell everyone he pressed tweet too soon when what he meant to write was ladies and girls kissing is a sin. See? So much cleaner. Yeah, good point. Really? You didn't get your people together, to your PR team or whatever, to solve this problem? Damn, that was a good excuse. I wouldn't have come up with that. Of course, I wouldn't be in that situation because I would have written ladies and girls kissing is the shit. People should live the way they want to live. Anyway, back to present day. The morning after Houston was caught sharing the adult video, he posted and then soon deleted his latest excuse. This account was compromised overnight. Any odd posts, links, or messages shared earlier were not legitimate and have been reported and deleted, which is even funnier because he posted that without deleting the adult content. Oh my God, dude, this guy. He's like, what's the word? He's like, there's a word for it. What is it? He's such a, God, what's the word? Where he's like really clumsy and ridiculous and can't do anything right. What's the term? There's a term here. Sorry, I'm taking a bite of food again. Yeah, the latest excuse. This account was compromised overnight. Any odd posts, links, or messages shared earlier were not legitimate and have been reported. Brian, you need to delete it from your videos. It's still there. Oh, I love it, dude. I love it to death. You need to share your secret. I know people who've had their accounts hacked, and it took them weeks to get it back. How'd you get it restored so quickly? I didn't say I was hacked. Someone temporarily had access to my Twitter account on my phone. Oh, it's so painfully stupid. So Houston's argument here is that someone with access to his phone, no passcode, got into X/Twitter, shared a very specific kind of adult video, and did nothing else whatsoever. Make it make sense. At this point, the excuses are so much worse than just admitting the truth. A wiser person would just laugh it off and move on. But Houston is a Christian hypocrite who thinks acting on homosexuality is a sin and presumably believes adult entertainment is a scourge unless he's the one privately enjoying it and then publicly sharing it. If he had a healthier outlook on sex, this would be... If he had a healthier outlook on sex, this wouldn't be nearly as embarrassing for him. That is fantastic. I love everything about it. My God, dude. What a complete piece of shit. Do you guys remember Jesse... What was his name? I want to say Jesse Duplantis, Jesse Pinkman. No, those are different people. What the hell is his name? He debated Aaron Ra a while back. Jesse Lee Peterson. Jesse Lee Peterson. Yes, Jesse Lee Peterson. That's him. Who's like super anti-gay, but turns out that he is gay. And he also liked a bunch of adult entertainment on the twit. You know what's weird? I've never had that problem. I've never done that before. I've never liked adult entertainment by accident. Very strange, huh? Why is it that only the pastors have this problem? Anyway, tell me what you think about it in the comments. Hilarious, dude. Absolutely hilarious. 14. All right, that was a good one. I really liked that that story. I would like to eat, so I'm going to play something. We'll watch a video that actually we'll talk about a story that has a video attached. We'll put it that way. Let's hit Candace Taylor. What? Open. All right. So Candace Taylor, the woman on the right, she says God ordained her. He commanded her to run for Congress or for political office anyway. I'm not sure what political office. Well, she ran and she lost. She got 8,000 votes in the primary election, which I'm sad to say was about 12% of the electorate, horrifyingly. Shouldn't even be 12%. She's insane. It feels like if God were to order you to run for office, he would back you up in that endeavor and make sure you got into office, right? It just feels like that would be the case.
I'm going to run for Congress for the 1st District seat that currently Congressman Buddy Carter holds. He's running for U.S. Senate. But, somebody told me today, they said, but you announced before he said he was going to run for U.S. Senate. And I said, yeah, I did, because the Lord told me to do it. But really, I had over 1,000 people ask me in the past 4 years in this district to run for this seat.
Kind of weird that the Lord told you to do it and then let you fall flat on your face.
That's fantastic.
Over and over and over. And I was like, no, I'm not going to D.C. I've lost nothing in D.C. I'm not going to D.C. No. And it just, no. And I actually was talking to my campaign people that helped me before in Savannah today, and they said, I got asked over 100 times to ask you to run.
That's
so
fantastic.
it was just on and on. And so when we prayed about it, I really wanted to run for governor again. I feel very equipped to do that job because
I bet you do, yeah. Flat Earther Candace Taylor feels equipped to do the job of Georgia governor.
80% of his budget is public education. I've been a public educator for over 2 decades. But the Lord said...
That's not true, by the way. I believe she was lying just now when she said she was a public educator. I'm sorry, I just made a huge mess. A little noodle fell into my chair. And unfortunately, my chair has this hole in the back where stuff just falls and it got wedged in there. Okay, I'm sorry.
I've been a public educator for over 2 decades. But the Lord said very clearly that the people want you to serve here.
Mm.
You have grace to do it.
Amen.
I've given you grace to do it. And so I knew, okay, well, you don't give me grace to do it, I'm going to do it.
That's so good.
I'm trying to find out if she was a public educator and to what degree, if she's just making this up. Let me see if I can find an answer to this. Oh my God. Candace Taylor, 215. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Wow. Apparently she was her own. Oh, well, okay, wait a minute. This is from her own website. Let me see if I can find an answer. Hold on. Okay, it checks out. She was in public education. She was a student services coordinator for the Appling County Board of Education and a former 3rd grade teacher. So she's been involved in education for 19 to 23 years, somewhere in there. Okay. Well, now we know that just being involved in education does not qualify you to be jack shit. This is what she did immediately after the 2020 election when she ran last time around. I think it was 2020. No, this is 2022 when this happened.
But I wanted y'all to know.
Jesus Christ. Can you get a little bit closer to the mic, Candace?
But I wanted y'all to know that I do not concede. I do not. And if the people who did this and cheated are watching, I do not concede. And the people of Georgia will not allow me to, because I represent them. See, it's not about me. It's not about Candace Taylor. It's about the people of Georgia. It's about the people of America.
Fucking psycho, dude. Seriously. She's like Marjorie Taylor Greene on steroids, believe it or not. She's said some real stupid shit before, too. By the way, she said that God told her to run for Congress before now. Like, that's not new. That's fucking old. And she's still losing consistently. Check this clip out from Candace Taylor.
The idea behind the whole document was that the church runs the state. The church and we the people. We are the church. You and I, Eric, are the church. And so...
Complete delusion. Usually these people offer some kind of a cohesive, logical argument that has holes in it, that's flawed, that doesn't really fully make sense, but it's kind of getting there, you know? This doesn't make any sense at all. In no way, shape, or form, in no context, does the Constitution say that the church should run the state. That is absolute psychosis.
We run the state, but the state, the government, has no control over the church. And then everybody's like, oh, well, then you got to let satanists come in, and you've got to let witches come in, and you've got to let Muslims and Hindu. No, no, we don't. No, we don't. Because America is founded on God Almighty, Creator God, Yahweh, Elohim. We can go on and on. That is what we're founded on. And
it's not, though. It's not what we're founded on at all. Pure, unadulterated delusion.
And I don't have to honor your religion. I don't have to give you freedom of religion. Freedom of religion is there for us to worship Jesus.
Are you fucking kidding me? Freedom of religion is there for us to worship Jesus? What kind of fucking psychosis is this? Seriously.
It's not for you to come force anything else upon me. And so we have that all wrong. And we've had tolerance. We've been politically correct. And at what point are we going to say, nope, we're not going to be?
Bro, is she saying tolerance is bad? Is she saying being tolerant of other people in society and just like live and let live is a bad thing? You don't want to let live? You want to fuck with people and harass them and not allow them to just live their lives the way they want to? Are you serious right now?
You can do whatever you want to in the comfort of your home. You can do whatever you want to, but don't come into my government and bring any of that trash in there.
Yeah, I'm busy bringing that trash in there. I'm doing it. You can't do it.
And we shouldn't be electing anyone in government, local, state, or federal, that is not a Christian.
Anyway, she's a complete piece of shit, dude. She's the Jesus Guns Babies woman. I don't know if you're familiar, if you remember her, but that was her tagline, her slogan or whatever, her campaign slogan, Jesus Guns Babies. 3 things that don't go together in any way. I guess Jesus and babies, maybe? You could probably make a claim that those 2 things go together, but nothing else does. Babies and guns don't go together. Jesus and guns don't go together. Check this one out.
100%.
I'm sorry, hold on. Let me turn this up. This is... What is this one? Right, yeah, okay. Check this other Christian one out.
100% America was founded on Jesus Christ. It was founded on the Holy Word of God. And I'm going to go to Congress from District 1 in Georgia, and I'm going to let everybody know we're going to uphold the Constitution.
She's lost a lot of weight. Impressive. Congratulations. Genuinely.
That is founded on God. Creator God, Yahweh. All this Quran, bullcrap, all this.
Isn't it the same God? Why are you picking this one specific religion and not like Jesus? Why are you not saying Jesus?
worshiping other gods, all the separation of church and state mess that's perverted. Those days are over.
It's perverted? Separation of church and state is perverted? Okay.
The church runs the state. We, the people, we're the church. We run the state.
Get fucking help. These people seriously disturb the shit out of me. Again, she only got 8,000 votes in the primary, so we can breathe a sigh of relief, but she doesn't seem to want to give up. Do you guys remember Vermin Supreme, the dude with the boot on his head who was going to give out ponies to everybody or something? That's what she reminds me of. Absolutely insane. Listen to this one.
He gets shot and he keeps going. Do you know any other person other than Jesus?
Wait, was Jesus shot?
I run around with my kids for 5 hours and I'm falling asleep. He's 76.
Was Jesus known for being particularly spry?
But he's out there doing it. He has someone pushing him, and I know who it is. Someone's holding him up.
Yep.
It's incredible.
Incredible, man. Oh my gosh. And yeah, you're going to make me cry, Candace, just listening to you talk about
That wasn't Candace.
that. But yeah, he's just such a genuine, loving, amazing man. Every time I've seen him around his family.
Dude, look at the what do you call it? The little thing on the chyron, the lower third. Alpha male's last stand, feminism's fierce challenge. What?
I mean, he's all about his family. He's all about who's ever in front of him. He is, don't, because I can see you already crying and you're going to make, don't.
Literally crying, thinking about Donald Trump being like Jesus. They are literally crying, really?
But he is such an incredible man and such a genuine man. And I just don't know who else. I've been a professional my whole life, and I'll tell you, there's nobody like him.
You've been a professional your whole life. Is that what she just said?
He gets...
Okay. These people seriously need fucking help. And that's not even touching the flat earth stuff. Like, I covered the flat earth stuff recently, so I don't want to go back through it with Candace Taylor. But she's been a flat earther for a very long time. Or at least pretends, she had Flat Earth Dave on, the famous flat earther. And she was making fun of globes and calling globes propaganda and stuff like that. And then she denied ever being a flat earther. She said, I never said I was a flat earther. I said I have a lot of questions, and I want to know why there's so many pieces of propaganda around all the time. Something like that. This is parody of Candace Taylor.
I'm not a scientist because that is a made-up job, but I know that the earth is flat, okay? Because if the earth was round, why would maps be flat? They can never answer that, okay? And people want to be like, well, if the earth is flat, then what about night and day? I don't know. Let me think about it. Maybe because the earth is double-sided and God flips us over when it's time for us to go to bed and flips us back over when it's time for us to wake up, like I do with my husband. Like, use your brain. Use your head for a minute.
Yeah, idiot. Use your head, idiot.
If the earth was round like a globe, everything would be falling off of it. All the oceans would be dripping down it like ice cream, okay? Unless the earth is a DQ blizzard where nothing falls out. But even then, sometimes things do fall out and they do have to give you your money back. So that doesn't really make sense to me. They're trying so hard to make us think the earth is a globe. I see globes on TV, globes at my children's school.
This is real. She really did say this. This is a parody, but she actually said this.
I saw a globe at Hobby Lobby, a place of worship. Hobby Lobby, there was a globe there. I mean, if I were a normal person, there would be a globe behind me, but I have a rotary telephone that's not hooked up to anything, so Bill Gates can't track me.
Okay, this is, most of that was real, actually, except the rotary telephone thing. That was a direct quote. If I was a normal person, then there would be a globe behind me, she said.
Okay, because I'm using my head.
Yeah, using your head. Anyway, Jesus Christ, dude, Candace Taylor, I'm so glad to know that she fell flat on her face in the election. Please, for the love of all that is holy, do not let her get into Congress. She's already in like a political position, if I'm not mistaken. She's on some kind of a board of something or other. I don't even remember. In Eastern Georgia, I believe. Absolutely wild. Tell me what you think in the comments. 2:15 to 2:30. Pretty good timing. Okay, cool. Well, I think that's what I'm going to call it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah. All right. Thank you guys so much for coming. I appreciate it. Wow, and you should audition for South Park. You think? I appreciate that. I'll keep that in mind. All right. I'll talk to you guys next time. I won't have a stream on Wednesday because we are having a baby on Wednesday, I think. Probably won't be here Thursday either, since we'll have a baby. Probably still be in the hospital on Thursday, honestly. But check out my book, God's People. It's releasing on June 15th, and I just did original research for Father Kuhn. Famously, if anyone knows that name, he was a Catholic priest who said, "In the name of Christ, fire," as they aimed their guns and shot victims of the Holocaust. I did so much research for Father Kuhn's chapter. So much, it's ridiculous. Like original newspapers and everything from the time period. So I hope you guys check it out. It's chapter 8 in the book, and I may actually update the Wikipedia page, honestly. Like, I know enough about this dude and the history to be able to write the Wikipedia page, which barely exists, honestly. So check it out. All right, I'm getting out. Thank you guys so much. I'll talk to you next time, all right? Probably next Sunday. Later, everybody.